Hey everyone, and welcome to the social network Myspace webcast event. With me right now is Aaron Sorkin, screenwriter. You clap. Andrew Garfield, Justin Timberlake, Jesse Eisenberg, Armie Hammer. Sarah Rocks, yeah she does, on Myspace asks, did any of you meet the people you are portraying? And if not, do you or did you hope to? Andrew?
No meeting. No meeting of Eduardo. I would have loved to have met Eduardo. I had two photos that I had to go from, but he's very handsome and, I mean, he may be to people, yes, handsome, I don't know.
Did they reach out to him?
I've no idea. I know that he had to sign a non-disclosure agreement after the lawsuit, the out of court settlement with Mark, the undisclosed settlement. So he had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So he wasn't accessible, or and even if he was, he would probably run away in fear of his life. But no, I would have loved to. When you're playing someone who exists in flesh and blood and skin and bone and breathing somewhere in the universe, you feel a great sense of responsibility to make sure that you don't destroy that person's, misrepresent him or her in any kind of way. So I think we all felt a certain amount of a great amount of responsibility when we took on these very living, breathing people.
Eduardo has disappeared off the face of the earth. We did try hard to find him. But as Andrew said, Eduardo's settlement was in the hundreds of millions of dollars, but conditioned entirely upon him never speaking about this to anyone again. He was aware that this movie was being made, so he has just gone and hidden.
I was really so blown away by your performance there. You transformed. You were so wonderful in it. And I was wondering, one, if you got to meet the man that you portrayed, who was the creator of Napster, and what you did to get into this role.
That's very kind.
You don't like compliments, I'm sorry.
That one made me a little uncomfortable, but that's okay. I'm glad that you guys did like the movie. I think that it speaks to, directly to you. And I think that's what was so intriguing to me about when I read the material. I don't know. I didn't have to run through a huge gauntlet like they do on the television show Wipeout 2. But I did a couple of auditions. I'm perfectly fine telling you all that because I did actually get the part, which consisted of actually getting to read the material with Aaron Sorkin and David Fincher. So it doesn't really, it's kind of like getting to learn, Moonlight Sonata while Beethoven is teaching it to you, to get to read with Aaron his words, which are so beautifully musical and just fantastic. I did actually meet Sean Parker, but funny enough that we're talking about the audition process and the way the interweb works, it was sort of widely speculated for a awkward, for me, 3-week period where I did audition for the first time, and then the second time where it was just sort of blasted onto the internet that I was going to be playing the part. Meanwhile, no one had told me officially that I was going to be playing the part. So I did actually meet Sean Parker in New York City very briefly. Said hi, I was walking out of somewhere and someone called my name, and I turned around and he introduced himself.
Armie, you so brilliantly played twins, and they're such different personalities. What challenges did you face going into that, and how did you just approach the role?
The process of portraying the twins was something we wanted to go about carefully because we didn't want to let them bleed together to create sort of one character. We wanted to make sure that we had two distinct individual personalities who were still able to operate in some sort of team-like capacity. So myself and another actor, Josh Pence, he and I worked for several weeks beforehand to come up with their mannerisms, come up with, their interpersonal relationship. Do they look at each other? Do they touch each other? How do they communicate as twins? All that stuff was stuff that we had to figure out and learn about twins. But in terms of, a lot of the research, most of it was done by Aaron, and we were handed such a complete script in terms of characterization that it made it easy for all of us. All the other research that we had to do was probably, peripheral.
But the amazing job that Army did was that in playing identical twins, there isn't a good twin and an evil twin. These guys are separated by about 11 degrees of personality difference. So it had to be a very nuanced performance, on top of which he's got to credibly play a world-class rower. So Army was on the water every morning with the Harvard crew coach rowing, and he did an amazing job. And then it was really just, terrific lighting from Jeff Cronwith that made you look handsome. I thought that was a lot of smoke.
Vaseline on the lens.
Yeah.
So I want to go to another MySpace question. Angie, you guys know Angie on MySpace? She asked Aaron.
Oh, Angie.
Right? So she asked Aaron, what about the Facebook story is more compelling to you than other internet stories? And would you ever write another internet story after this?
Yeah, well, again, it wasn't, believe me, if the same story was behind the invention of MySpace or Friendster or Google, I would have written that. It wasn't the Facebook of it all that drew me to this. It was the humans behind it and what happened, and the fact that two separate lawsuits were brought against Facebook at roughly the same time. The defendant, the plaintiffs, the witnesses, they all came into deposition rooms. They all swore an oath. They all gave testimony. And what came out of it were three very different versions of the truth. So rather than pick one and decide that's the truth, that's the story I'm going to tell, or pick one and decide that's the sexiest, that's the story I'm going to tell, I really like the idea that there were three different and conflicting versions of the story.
We're going to take another question from MySpace, and Nikki Robin actually asked, what is it like acting with an Aaron Sorkin rapid-fire script? Jesse, I'd like to go to you on that one.
It's fantastic, not only because he's such a fantastic writer, who I've been a fan of for a very long time, but because I've felt his very kind of unique and singular style perfectly captured my incredibly unique and singular character. My character is a guy who has having 10 conversations to another person's one conversation. And Aaron's able to kind of capture that in a very real way. And so it was kind of a lot of fun to explore, explore the very complicated thought process that my character has.
Adam on MySpace, were you happy or disappointed that Facebook wasn't involved in the creation of the movie? And what do you think about their reaction to the film?
We aggressively pursued Facebook's participation in the movie. I knew I was going to be speaking to a lot of people who had an axe to grind with Mark, so I wanted to be able to talk to Mark too. After a lot of negotiating, Mark did exactly what I would have done and declined to participate. And to answer the question, honestly, I was relieved that he did. I didn't want the movie to be perceived as a Facebook production, and surely there would have been some sort of editorial controls that they would have asked for as a prerequisite, and I would have been unwilling to give them. As far as Facebook's reaction to the film hasn't opened yet, and I don't think they've seen it. Their PR people are every bit as good as our PR people, so they're saying that the film isn't true, it's fiction. It's not. We disagree with that. They haven't been able to identify anything in the movie that's fiction. But like I said, there's two elements. One is that after taking oaths in a deposition room, there were three versions of the truth. So at any given time, at least two of them are going to be wrong. And the other is that I do the same thing that Bill Goldman when he wrote All the President's Men, or Peter Morgan when he wrote Frost Nixon and the Queen do, which is that I take an available set of facts and I construct a story out of it, and I write in dialogue and I construct those scenes so that they lay out as a story.
So everyone, go see The Social Network in theaters this Friday. Thank you guys so very much. And thank you everyone on Myspace.